Okay, so in the last video we looked at how to add that player interaction where they could press E to open the door, but we did it inside the level blueprint. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do it inside an actor blueprint. There's one little slight change that we need to make, but I'll just talk you through it from the start anyway. So what I wanted to do for this was, I'll show you the finished version first. So here we have, this is a blueprint actor. We can walk in, we can press E, to close it. Obviously it works from both sides as well. Now we haven't set up any type of auto close or anything like that, but I'll make this from scratch just so we're kind of all on the same page, because there's a couple of little different things that we need to do. A lot of it's going to be similar to what we did before when we set this up. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to go blueprint class, it's going to be an actor, BP underscore, I'm going to go with door rotate, drag it into the game word. I'm going to double click on it to start editing it. So we know that we're going to need a static mesh. So same as we did before, static mesh, we're going to make sure it's the door. Okay. So we can see that that's inside the game word fine. The next thing that we're going to need is a box collision. I'm just going to make sure that it's not parented to that. I'm going to drag it up. I'm going to use the same box collision for both sides of it. So I'm going to scale it up so it kind of overlaps both sides. I'll make it like a little bit wider. So I'm going to make sure that that is visible in game just for debugging purposes. So from here now we want to start scripting this stuff out. So a lot of this is going to be similar to what we did last time. So with the box selected, we'll go in the event graph. I'm going to get rid of these, so I don't really need them. I'll scroll down on the right hand side, undo on begin overlap. So on begin overlap, I want to cast to the first person character. I want to do it as another actor. And then straight away I'm just going to do the opposite below. So end overlap, I want to do exactly the same. So cast the first person character as another actor. So we know that we're going to need a timeline as well. So we'll just start adding that in now. Timeline, and it's going to be door rotate. And then we know after that we're going to use this timeline to set the rotation of the door. So we need to get a reference to the door, drop it in, drag off here, set relative rotation. We're going to split this down, and this is the value that we're going to drive. So now I'm going to double click on my timeline. We're going to come in here and set our values. So we need a float track. We're going to put in two main keyframes. So the first one being 0 and 0. The last one being, we'll go with 2 seconds and 90. And then we're going to set our entire timeline to be down at 2 seconds. So you don't need to, when you're following this video, you don't need to remake this all from scratch if you've already got it set up. But this, I'm just doing this because there's a couple of things that we need to change just to make sure everyone's on the same page. So from there, we want to connect in our update to that. And now we need to add in our next bit, which is our player interaction. So if we right click here, and we've already set this up in the previous video, we've got our interact. That is going to plug straight into a gate. And that's going to let us enter the game. So the gate needs to be opened by us entering into the box. It needs to be closed by us leaving the box. And the exit needs to run this timeline. Okay. Now, if I hit play, this isn't going to work. And I'm going to explain in a little bit why it works. So this one will work. This one is not working. So I'm pressing exactly the same key. And the reason being is we're doing this as a standalone actor. So we need to tell it, this isn't in the level blueprint, we need to tell it that we would like it to enable the input for the player. So whenever they're in that box, we want to say, by the way, enable input. So it's really quick the way we do this. We'll just make a little bit of space here. So whenever we get to here, we can call enable input. We need to ask it to get the player controller. And then we want to do the opposite whenever we leave the box. We want to disable input. So we can drag off the same one. And then make sure we've wired that up to close the game. So now if I pop back into my level and I run over and I press E, you can see now it's starting to work. Now, the reason we had to set it to disable input is if we left that disconnected, so if I was to bypass that, so now we're enabling but we're never disabling. You could do it so our input's enabled now, we're across the map, and you could keep doing it over and over again. So we want to make sure that we are disabling at the same time. Now it's working out not too bad because the gate's kind of giving us like a double check on that anyway. So the next thing we want to do is set up the booleans for this. So we want to obviously keep track, you know, is this door open or closed. So we'll make a new boolean down here under the new variables tab. Door open, hit compile. Its default is false, so that's fine. So at the end of this gate, we want to say, you know, is it open or not? So get that. Let's do an if statement on there. So if this is false, meaning the door is locked, we want to open it. So we want to play this forward. If it's true, meaning the door is sitting open, we want to play it in reverse. And then remember, the last thing we need to do now is a little kind of set at the end. So when it's finished, we want to do that check again. So get that. And let's do a branch off there. So when it's finished, if the door is true, we want to set it to be false. So click and drag that in, set. We'll do another one, set. So if that's true, we want to set it to be false. If that's false, we want to set it to be true. So now we play through. All being well, this should work. There we go. So it means we can step out of here and then we can come back in and close the door again. Obviously the next iteration of that would be we could add in some sound here as well. So we could play a sound. So you might do like a do once on the end of this and play through a sound. So that's basically what we've done there, is we've mimicked what we had in our level blueprint, but now we've done it as a standalone blueprint actor. So obviously we can have like different instances of it in here, and they act independently of each other. Okay, so in the next video we're going to look about how we can add in some keys now to be linked to these doors. So we'll have to pick up a key before we can actually open the doors.